Segment on MITechTV, and we're bringing in Melih Oztalay, who, as a disclaimer, works with me very closely on MITech News, my webmaster, on social media guru, you name it. And last month he launched a series because it started with me, actually. I've been kind of dragging my feet about trying to learn AI, and Melih's gone the other direction. He's gone full boat on it. As he uses it what daily, I guess, Melih?
I use it daily.
Daily Melih. Okay, so
We got a
new
lot going
nickname.
on.
But anyway, so we're on our second installment of that. He's going to do a multiple part series during the year to kind of help explain to the Luddites like myself in business why they should be using AI like he is. And one of the things I noticed, and I have a little checklist in front of me, he wants to talk about Google Gemini chatbot, the backlash of being woke. That sounds interesting. Tell us all about it.
Hey guys, good to be on the show again. So in the past month since we last met on the about artificial intelligence and what's going on in the industry, today decided to kind of put a format around our meeting or our discussion here, in which we take a look at what's going on in the news, and then let's take some examples of AI tools that businesses and individuals can use. So let's start with the news, which is, the first one you just mentioned, which is Google's Gemini chatbot. It got a lot of backlash here in the last couple of weeks. There were two primary points. Believe me, if you dig into it, there's a lot more going on, but there was a reluctance to depict white people in images. And
Oh yeah, I
so
remember
there
that.
was
Yeah, I
some,
was reading that.
yeah, there's some issues about that. And then it also got some criticism over how it was handling sensitive topics. And sensitive topics apparently includes China.
Hmm.
And there was just this massive backlash here for 2 weeks. Google has, as you can imagine, gone through. They have apologized. They have acknowledged the problem. That was, I think, an important part of the resolution. And then subsequently, they also are in the process of relaunching it so that its large language model it can better handle what's going on. So that was one major news. The other major news I think worth mentioning is that Meta, who's the company that owns Facebook, also involved in AI. In July, they're going to be launching what they call Llama. It's going to be version 3. It also is their large language model that they're building out on. And its main issue over here is about digging into what they now call, or the AI language that they're calling artificial general intelligence, AGI. And so this also is a pretty significant step as far as what's going on when it comes to AI being, let's say, be more responsive. Let's say it's being closer to human-like intelligence. So very interesting pieces there. What do you guys think?
Hmm.
Well, I mean, the more the merrier, I guess, when it comes to the large language models. It'll be interesting to sort of feed the same prompts to different ones and see how they differ.
Yep, I agree. It's gonna be interesting, and when we're uh, talking about these things, like for example, let's take a look at live examples, right? So Google Gemini and Meta, these are let's call them they're in development, but we have the Olympics coming up in France this summer. And here's an interesting situation that also popped up in the news in terms of AI. But the French police are going to use AI-powered security cameras. Now, if you're into the idea of security, then that you would support what they're doing. But then there's the other side of the equation, which is, well, how does this impact, personal privacy, for example? But what the French police and the French government essentially is doing is that they're saying, hey, listen, we want to detect certain predetermined events. We want to take a look at abnormal behavior. They're dealing with large crowds, right? So what happens if you have a crowd search? What's going on with that? And so I think the idea over here is that they're trying to balance civil liberties with AI-powered surveillance. But it's an interesting situation, and I'm guessing that it's going to draw some attention as we get closer to that time. Another interesting one is right back here at home, National Association of Realtors. They're using AI to cut costs, identify fraud detection, which is interesting. And they're also trying to use AI for repetitive tasks, like, for example, listings that go on, right? Their descriptions, what can they do to save time in managing all the homes that are for sale, for example. And so these are very interesting. They're going to be digging into images and videos and so on and so forth, for example, to identify accuracies of the listings as well. Also, two interesting other points here. Thoughts?
Matt?
Well, Mike, what do you think?
I know I need to learn this, and certainly now that everybody in the world's learning it, I need to get on board with this. But yeah, I mean, I always have privacy concerns. I know I was watching this series on PBS about China. Now, this is before AI, and the Chinese use facial recognition for everything, to the point where I think, like an ATM machine, instead of using a card and punching in a code, it reads your face, So I'm just I've always been concerned about how technology is so invasive of our privacy. That would be my only, angst here, I guess,
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, just as much as when the internet first started, let's say back in the early 1990s, until today, there's been an entire different discipline in law related to technology. And that discipline is continually evolving. It will continue to evolve, not just here in this country, but around the world, from everything from the United Nations to the EU blocks, et cetera, et cetera. It'll be very interesting to watch. But on that note, Mike, let me give you some other real world examples of tools that you can use. So let's talk about those real quickly. And if we have time, I've got some interesting screenshots I'd like to present as well. Now, the next one, you guys are gonna love this because it's gonna go bonkers in terms of backlash. So Adobe came out with something called Project Kazoo. So it's experimental technology at the end of the day, but it creates instrumental music using your own voice recordings. So essentially, what it's effectively going to allow, it's going to allow everybody on the planet, regardless if they have a good voice or not, to become a singer.
Milli
You can just see where
Vanilli.
this
That's
is
who I
going to go,
instantly
right?
think of. Milli Vanilli. Remember that scandal? I don't even know how many.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now it won't be a scandal anymore.
No.
Yeah, that and auto tune, right?
Yeah.
So
Right,
that's
exactly.
one of my all-time favorite Simpsons episodes is when Bart gets into a four-person boy band and they turn off the auto tune and it turns out they've just been yelling the whole time. So, that's
Let me buzz through a few more, guys. So another tool that's out there, it's actually it's already out there. Unlike Kazoo, is experimental. There's something called Apollo AI or Apollo. And if you're in sales and marketing, you know about Apollo. But they've, as you can imagine, introduced AI. So they now have an AI-powered inbox. It helps the salesperson become more efficient and more effective, especially in managing let's say emails and voicemails that are coming through. It's able to personalize emails. It can help to improve conversations, especially when you're doing email. They're basically launching version 3.0 here in the very near future, and it's going to, they claim it's going to make salespeople 10 times more effective. So that one's already on the market, so to speak. And so if you know Apollo, go to apollo.ai.
Oh, and if you want to share something, it's on multiple share right now. Go ahead. So.
All right, I'll get there. I'll hope to get there quickly before we run out of time here. Another one, Fireflies, perfect for you on this show. If you add fireflies into this meeting, for example, fireflies will essentially analyze, transcribe, and summarize the conversations. And so what it's effectively going to allow you to do is take the video and then the text copy and bring them together. So it's great for collaborations. It's specifically designed for meetings. And so as this session is going, for example, it's already tracking everything. It's using AI as a voice assistant. Interesting product to think about. Last week, we talked a little bit about generative AI in terms of creative tools that are on the market. We talked about Canva, for example. We also talked about Midjourney. Another one that we should not miss, that's also big on the market, is OpenAI's own generative AI for creative content development called Doll-E. And so it's able to generate a variety of images, and I'll show an example on that here in just a minute. And then the other one I'm going to mention is a ChatGPT plugin called Video Creator. And it will either create images or it will create videos for you purely based on whatever you say. You write in text copy, in text form, in ChatGPT. So very quickly, I'm going to share my screen here, show you a couple of examples of things that AI has created.
This is going to be
And I'll also
scary.
show you how to make sure that it doesn't exist. So for example, I typed into ChatGPT, I suggested to create a futuristic city. It came up with this.
Wow.
Okay.
Looks
well,
like Detroit, you know?
Yeah, almost. So this is an interesting depiction, but the question is this original?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I went into Google, and I don't know if you're familiar with Google Images, but you take your image and you literally drag and drop it into the search box within Google Images, and it will come back and check to see what else is out there. Now, here's just an example, but while the ones here on the right appear similar, they're not identical. They're different. And so the point I'm trying to make is it creating original content? And best as I can tell or mention here is that it is. So that's an interesting part. Another image that was created was something like this related to artificial intelligence. I did the same thing here, took a look, does it exist? And the answer is on the right, it does not exist. It too is original. Very interesting things in terms of how these things are going. Here's that video creator, and all I did was imagine a futuristic city in text copy, and it came back and created all these different types of images. If I take it just a step further, it'll turn around and create a video here that we could actually view, but I think we're going to run out of time at this point.
Well, that's interesting stuff. And Melih, if people want to get a hold of you and talk more about this stuff and as it affects their business or their occupation, how can they get a hold of you?
First of all, visit our website, smartfindsmarketing.com. And the other one is
right over your shoulder there. So,
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Best place to reach me directly is on LinkedIn, no question. Type in Melih Oztalay, and I guarantee I'll be the only one in LinkedIn with that name.